Okay, Karma Sewing, episode 16, tank ring cover, take one, action. All right, so what I have for you today um, is the my version of the Aerostar tank ring covers. Let me adjust this up just a little bit here. Get my full head in the picture there. That's better. So anybody that has experience with Aerostar or the Aerostar style tank ring covers knows they're not perfect. And I've made my own version of them. This is one here. And this one isn't, I think this is before I even shortened the inner ring because I can't get this one on at all. You can see just how much of a pain this is, and it's not going to stay in there. And even if it does, about a 90% chance you're going to still end up with the Aerostar wave, the tank ring wave. Um, it it just isn't perfect. I think Aerostar designed these and probably went, that's good enough. It's not that important. Um, but to anybody that's like me, that is um, very meticulous with how they want stuff, and not saying that Aerostar wasn't. Um, just I think they designed them and then never went back and kind of reevaluated. Excuse me, reevaluated um, their design on it because it was not perfect. Um, and maybe they changed their specs over the years and it got a little bit better or whatever. Maybe they did some of that. I don't see the evidence of that. I've been an Aerostar guy um, since the late 80s, and even the ones that stayed were not a great design. So this is this is my best version of it. And I mean, essentially, what it is it's just a narrow strip of fabric. There's not a whole lot you can do without really over designing this and making it way too complicated. So it's just a narrow strip of fabric that essentially fits the outer diameter of the tank ring with foam on it, and then sewn into one side is the bungee, which we have our bungee here. It's about a quarter inch bungee. Some really nice stuff that I found. And then in the other side, the side that goes inside the tank ring to hold it in place, is a quarter inch tubing, which I use this quarter inch um, irrigation tubing, which even the stiffer stuff that I've found is not stiff enough. This stuff is probably a little less stiff than some of the irrigation tubing that I've used for irrigation throughout the years. Um, but even at its stiffest, this just is um, not a perfect design to keep things in place. And like I said, I built my own. I got as close to Aerostar specs as I could, um, and it still wasn't perfect. So I've been I've been selling them reluctantly, um, but um, more recently I've had a couple of orders for some, and I thought, well, now this is the perfect time to reassess the design and figure out what works and what doesn't, and to make the changes to really make these work. I realize it's kind of a non-important item, but if if you're like me, you want it to look as good as possible, and these just haven't over the years. So um, what I did was I took the Aerostar specs and just, for the most part, just tweaked it a little bit. Um, I made this dimension just a little bit wider, so that it really wraps over the foam well, hides the foam, um, and is um, not too hard to get on. And part of that was also just lengthening the bungee a little bit. I don't know, maybe the bungee that they originally used was not quite as strong as what I have, but even made perfectly at the length of bungee that they use, um, these are hard to get on. So I lengthen it just a little bit, just enough to make it easier to get on and still wrap around that foam and hide it really well. Um, and those were the easy parts of the redesign. The length of the actual piece of fabric was was perfect. They had that spot on. I mean, that's easy. You just measure around this, or you measure across and do the math. You can get the length of the piece of fabric that you need. Um, the width, again, you can do the math or do the the math on, or you do the math, or even just test fit, and they're okay at the width that Aerostar made them, but I like having just a little bit of extra width. Again, the problem with their original design was the tubing. It was a good solution at the time, but just not even at its stiffest, just not quite stiff enough. You needed something just a little bit more. So I thought about it and thought about it, and what I came up with was a piece of wire that I could put through the tubing itself to give it some more stiffness. So um, comparing our designs here again, mine's a little bit wider, and this actually appears to be even wider than what I actually made it, but it's an inch. That's what it is. Um, the bungee section, again, I made it just a little bit longer, and then the the tubing, actually I made that just a little bit shorter so that it really fits perfectly along the inside of the rims, and I put the wire in it, and I mean, so if we see here, this is the tubing side that really bends really super easy, and then we have the tubing side here, and really, not that you want to bend it that much, but this is so much stiffer. Um, and I was really happy with the wire that I found that fit just inside the tubing. I can get it in there easy and um, get it all put together. So um, that's what the design is, um, and the improvements. Now, once you get your tank ring cover, how do you install it? Well, first of all, you're going to want to look at your foam on your tank. Make sure it's in good shape, and you'll want just a little bit of duct tape to hold the seam together. It just keeps things in place where it needs to be, and just make sure that that's on there good. This applies for all the Aerostar tank rings, the V15, V18, and the V23s, as well as far as I know, all the Worthington tanks also have the same size tank ring. And that's what I've got here. I've got a 10-gallon Worthington tank. This is an older one, so I mean, maybe over the years they've changed it a little bit. Um, but it's got, if we look in here, it's got a rolled edge, and then it also has a ring about an inch down, and you want to get your foam around that ring, around that top ring, and between the two uh, raised rings. So you get your foam on here good, you're good to go. So we can set that aside for a second, and we're going to look at our tank ring covers. When you get it from me in the mail, most likely it's going to be pushed down like this, maybe even squeezed in just a little bit to get it in the mailer. Not sure exactly how that's going to go, but I used to do kind of the Aerostar hoop dance with these to ship them, and you can get it like this and get it folded down really small and ship it really easy. Not going to be doing that anymore because of the wire. So I'm going to ship these flat in some sort of mailer. And when you get it, you want to get it out into shape really well. And then, depending on what kind of day I'm having when I make these, I may or may not spread the extra fabric around. As you can see, where when I've sewn it together, it's actually got some bunched fabric, and then in some areas it's flat. That's just a a fact of the way that these have to be put together. So depending on how busy I am, or how well my hands are after making a bunch of these, I may or may not kind of pre-spread some of this around, but you may have to do some of this yourself. So all you're going to do is just take and try and get some of that bunched up fabric spread around, and check both sides, both the tubing side and the bungee side, and you'll be able to tell that the tubing side is really stiff. The bungee side really really bends easy, and just get it fairly spread out on both sides. Shouldn't take too much work, but basically you want it so when you set it down on the table with the ring side on the bottom, it looks like a big popcorn bowl, as opposed to this one. I don't know if you can tell, it's got a lean to it where all the bunched up fabric is on this side, causing it to lean over. And if I take this and bring it around, bring some around to the other side, get it kind of even around the whole thing. Do the same thing with the bungee side. You can see already that's starting to stand up better, and that's the way you want it before you put it on. You want everything as even as you can possibly get it, without, I mean, obviously without taking too much time. It doesn't have to be perfect. Once you've got it like this, and you want to get the ring, the wire ring, to be as round as possible. Once you get it to that, go ahead and take it and turn the tank ring cover inside out, completely inside out, just like so. Now I'm going to come up just a little bit closer on you guys and adjust this out a little bit, adjust the camera down some, because I really want you to see how this is going to go. Oop. That's much. There we go. All right, so what you want to do is take the wire filled tubing side. You can squeeze it together just a little bit, insert one end down below where where it's going to eventually sit, and then just work the rest of it down in there. You're going to bend this a little bit, but a little bit isn't bad. Now what you're going to want to do is take and pull up the cover until the ring is just below your foam. On these Worthington tanks, you can get it right under the foam and above that lower raised ring that's on the tank collar itself, and you can get it right up underneath of there. Now it's really very simple. You're just going to roll the outer edge up and over, and there you go. You got your pretty tank ring cover. Simple as that. It's gonna be wrinkled. That's like I said. That's just kind of the unfortunate part of the design. I'm not going to, and I don't think anybody else is going to take and do any sort of a curved curved fabric design to get that any tighter than that. It's really not worth it. So that's really as good as it's going to get, and it's on there. Now you can pay attention to where you want the seam, as you know, as it's going to sit in your tank. Not really necessary. It doesn't show that much, but there you have it. Brand new tank ring cover with that wire in there. It's pushing that inner ring out to the side. It is not going to bacon on, or not going to wave on you. I call it the bacon wave. So because bacon, and that's really all there is to it. I do plan on designing some for some of the larger tank rings. I think Lindstrand and Thunder and Colt, possibly some of the Cameron tanks have a larger, like a 14-inch diameter ring on them. And I do plan on redesigning. I had been working on a design for them before I figured out the whole wire ring deal. So now that I've got this design done, I plan on revisiting those again, and hopefully getting you all some tank ring covers for tank rings that never have had a cover on them before. So you can dress up your tanks just a little bit more. So I hope this is helpful. I hope that y'all like the design, and I plan on hopefully being able to retrofit um, some of your tank ring covers if it's still in pretty good shape. Contact me, and we can kind of we can figure it out. Obviously, you got to get the cover to me, and I got to do the modification and get the cover back to you. So we'll have to discuss that and figure it out. But overall, I think this is a great design, and I hope y'all can find this useful. So look me up on my website, karmasewing.com, or on Facebook at Karma Sewing, or preferably my personal page. So yeah, let's get you some tank ring covers now that they're perfect. So have a good one.